What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my hip hop review. This is your boy Reg here. Fix my camera right quick. Before I start, I want to say thank y'all for the support recently on when I was interviewed recently on Blacktopia and stuff like that. If you guys really want to get more info about that, just hit me up and whatnot. But yeah, the album I want to review today is Boogie Down Productions' third studio album, Ghetto Music, The Blueprint of Hip Hop, released in 1989 on Jive Records under RCA. Yes, this is the blueprint of hip hop. When Nas referred to Jay-Z as how you bit from KRS-One, the original blueprint. Yeah, just to put that shit out there. Alright. Okay, so Boogie Down Production, you guys should know who they are. KRS-One's group, already dropped Criminal Minded, dope album, classic album. Then by all means necessary, which was released after Scott LaRock died, which again was another dope album. Now with Ghetto Music, singles albums known for are Jack of Spades, Why Is That, and You Must Learn. And KRS-One produced like the whole album. Also with this album, you got like a lot of new members and whatnot, which I want to talk about in a minute. Alright, so I've always said that I always like all of Boogie Down production albums and whatnot. But if I was to pick an album that I had to say was my least favorite, or an album that I kind of feel like was a bit of an acquired taste, I would most definitely have to say Ghetto Music, A Blueprint of Hip Hop. Now the album, in my opinion, is not a bad album, you know, but it's an inferior album compared to what was before and what was coming after this album and shit like that. And it also has, the advantage because it's sandwiched in between the classic By All Means Necessary and the other classic Edutainment, which I'm going to talk about very soon, possibly sometime either next week or the week after. So yeah, so after around this time he was making Ghetto Music, he had got like a lot more people in his lineup, in the Boogie Down Productions lineup, like of course you had Miss Melody, who was KRS-One's wife at the time and shit like that. You had this singer named Harmony, had Willie D, not the Willie D of Ghetto Boys fame. He just was a Bronx native and shit. RoboCop, D Squared, and of course, you have more usage of D Nice and stuff like that. I need to get my hands on that Call Me D Nice album that came out in 1990, but that's just out of print. Alright, so with this album, he kind of wanted to go a bit commercial. Well, not like commercial, but he wanted to go like somewhere in between like mainstream, but at the same time be conscious with it and stuff like that. And he wanted to emphasize a lot more like reggae in his music as well and shit. So yeah, and also with this album, this is pretty much the beginning of where his Boogie Down production albums got more longer. And I say that because of the fact that, the previous two albums had like 10 tracks. This album has like 13 tracks. So, yeah. That should show you guys his game, what he's about to do. But with that being said, let's get started. Track number one, The Style You Haven't Done Yet. That was a pretty dope track. A nice way to begin that fucking album and shit like that. What I got is just typical KRS-One, braggadocio, battle rhymes and stuff like that. Dope beat. I love the fucking beat. Reggae. It's one of the like stronger tracks off this album, in my opinion. Yeah, very dope out, very dope song. I like the line when he says, "Don't touch the microphone because you'll always be the loser," and laughed at, smirked on, "You don't belong." Were those and performed their song on and on and on and on and on. Yo, let's get specific. So yeah, man, like that's a very dope line and shit. Yeah, very dope song. The style you haven't done yet. Um, just him protecting his style and shit. Track number 2, Why Is That? Again, another very strong track. This was a single. What I got from this track was how, African American like kids, are being they don't get to learn like the real black history as the real black history and stuff like that, because let's be real, when you're growing up, when they talk about Black History Month, the only time they're celebrated is probably like February. And most specifically, they'll talk about Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Frederick Douglass, and those are the three main ones I can really say on top of my head. They don't really talk about like a lot of these other black, history figures and stuff like that. They don't talk about that, but he also, digs like mixes religion in with it too. We're talking about, how Moses the Bible was black, and he feels like reading the Bible will back up, his central thesis on what he's trying to convey and the message he's trying to convey. Yeah, man, very dope song. All my Far Side Handheads should know about that song too, because they sampled this track. And he also gave like a shout out, Public Enemy when he mentioned second album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, which is of course classic album. Track number 3, The Blueprint. Yeah, that was a pretty solid track. It's like a braggadocio track. That's what I got from it. Track number 4, Jack of Spades. Love this track. This was featured on the I'm Gonna Get You Sucker movie that was released in I think 1988. With Keenan Ivory Wayans. Believe it or not, that was really the movie that really put Keenan Ivory Wayans on the map and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that was like a blaxploitation satire and whatnot. So yeah, very dope movie. Highly recommended. And it's kind of interesting too because it's kind of interesting seeing like Boogie Down Productions or KRS-One, talking about like being personified in the movie, getting like movie soundtrack placements and shit. So I was kind of taken aback by that a little bit, but yeah, this was a very dope track. It's not corny in anything. It still bangs and shit. Yeah, man, Jack of Spades. Track number 5, Ja Rules. Um, this was like a reggae track as well, and I have to say like this track, Harmony made this track with his singing and shit like that. With Ja Rule, he's talking about his love for God and stuff, because Ja is basically, God. It's just another translation from God and stuff. And I just felt like Harmony singing definitely made up for it, So, yeah, man, very cool track. Track number 6, Breath Control. One of my least favorite tracks off this album, to be honest with you. This one features D-Nice beatboxing. And beatboxing to me is pretty hit or miss. It depends, how it's really brought to the track. And me personally, my favorite beatboxers are like Heavy D, I want to say Biz Markie, Dougie Fresh and shit like that. So yeah, that not just knock anything from D Nice and shit. So yeah, this was a very solid, okay track. Stay tuned for what I have to say about the sequel on Edutainment. Track number 7, Who Protects Us From You. Yeah, man, this was a very interesting track. I kind of see it more like a precursor to Sound of the Police off the Return of the Boom Bap album, classic album, where he's talking about, his stance against, how white cops are always attacking, like blacks and inner city youth and shit like that. And so, yeah, that's what I got from that, talking about police brutality. I felt like the beat could have been a little bit better, I definitely felt like it could have been definitely a bit better. I just felt like it was a bit too, it didn't really fit the subject matter, in my opinion. I felt like he kind of got it right when it came to Sound of the Police and shit. So, yeah, that's Who Protects Us From You. Track number 8, You Must Learn. Okay, so personally, I just get it out there. I prefer the video version of this track. With that da 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 beat and shit. I just feel like it could have like fit more with the album and shit like that. Not to knock the album version off, because the album version is pretty cool too. With this track, You Must Learn, he's talking about, of course, continuing off what he's talking about, why is that? It's talking about, the educational system, how about how, blacks are not really exposed to their culture like that and shit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, very dope. I love this fucking song and shit like that. There's a couple of lines I love when he says was, let me find out. Yeah, this is one of my favorite lines. Well, one doesn't know about the other one's culture. Ignorance swoops down like a vulture, 'cause you don't know that you ain't just a janitor. No one told you about Benjamin Banneker, a brilliant black man that invented the almanac. And that line is so fucking true because it's definitely what's happening today. Because if you see what's going on in the hip hop game today and shit, you have people that's coming to the hip hop game, or people that wanna invest in the hip hop game, but they don't know shit about the culture, or they just want to like whitewash it to be exact with you and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And that also, I want to also mention like gentrification too, to be real and shit like that, because they talk about, oh, we're doing it for the community, we're gonna do this for the community, but y'all raising up the prices of like y'all apartments or your apartment complexes, and then you expect like people just to pay them, but why people just move out and they'll end up being homeless and shit. So yeah, man, it's very. I feel like that's a very dope line and shit. And then with the third last verse, he's mentioning all these like Black history people and stuff, like Black history figures. Talking about Joan L. Elf Blumenbach and shit. He's talking about how the Egyptians developed like a lot of the sciences of the mind. Very good track, highly recommended. That's probably like one of my favorite Boogie Down production songs, regardless of if the video version was used as a single. Um, Track number 9, Hip Hop Rules. Love this track in my opinion. It's talking about the dominance of hip hop at this time. Ain't no stopping them and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I got from it. He's also like talking about the beginnings, like with Grandmaster Flash, how Run DMC came into a head and shit like that. Very dope track. Hip Hop Rules. Track number 10, Bo Bo Bo. Again, another track where he's talking about police brutality. This is a track I have like a lot of mixed feelings about. It's like a storytelling track about why he was jogging, he got harassed by the fucking police, and they fucking like kidnap him and shit like that. It's like one of them storytelling tracks, very like interesting and shit. I felt like it was a bit too long, and I didn't like the fucking beat, because like the beat had more like the beat didn't fit the concept. That's all I'm gonna say, and that's like a major problem with this album. So yeah, Bo Bo Bo. On paper, it looked good on paper, but it could have been done better in my opinion. Track number 11, Give Me That Whoa. Yeah, man, very dope song. This is probably my favorite song off this album. He's just going in on the mic. In my opinion, just going in on the mic and shit like that. Yeah, man. He basically, he's just talking about whack MCs, just going after like whack MCs and shit like that, and like why his style is number one. He has lines like, some get caught in my style like a net. They can't get out, so I treat them like a pet. Sit boy, down boy, don't bite me yet. I bet you're kind of hungry. Here's a kite can step. Cause I've got no time to hold you in here. I just slim so you can understand who I am. Whoa! Like, just going off, on the mic and shit. Track number 12, Ghetto Music. Oh, yeah, I didn't really care for this track. It felt like he was trying to go for like a proto like New Jack Swing kind of feel with this track. I don't know, but when I was listening to it, he was kind of defending underground hip hop. Yeah, I didn't really fuck with this track like that. And the last track off this album, World Peace. you know, world peace, you know, talking about, you know, his love, you know, how we all should like love one another, how we should love one another, you know. Just one of those preachy tracks and shit. In my opinion, you know, this was one of those tracks where you can tell he wanted to go commercial with it. But I actually did like this track. You know, I actually did like it. I felt like the beat was very fly, you know, very fresh. I don't know, something about this track compared to the others I liked. I guess, you know, nice way to end off the album, you know. Yeah. Okay. My honest opinion about ghetto music, the blueprint of hip hop. I felt like this album definitely could have done been a little bit better, and a lot of it has to do with like the production. I felt like, you know, with the production of this album, it's cool because, you know, he's known for the reggae. He's known for like the reggae influence beats and shit like that. Because that's his stilo. That's his thing. But I felt like with this, is that like he was trying to go like full out reggae, trying to go like very full out reggae, where it's like he with the hip hop, it kind of got a bit too preachy with the hip hop and shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was what I have to think about that. Also, a lot of tracks I feel like ran a bit too long in my opinion. Definitely feel like there was like a lot of long tracks, which is I don't mind long tracks as long as I'm thoroughly entertained and I'm still interested in shit. You know what I'm saying? But also, other than that, I definitely gotta say, yeah, I know that in recent times a lot of people have kind of been, you know, indecisive about this album because, you know, a lot of people like this album where there's like a lot of people that don't really fuck with this album because they say it was a bit too, you know, light and ass compared to what was before and what came after. Me personally, I felt like this was the album where, in a way, he played it safe in a way, but at the same time, with this album, at the same time, he was just talking about a lot of shit too that was still taboo, like talking about, you know, going heavy with the police brutality, talking about how black history gets, you know, whitewashed or gets banned when it comes to public school systems. So I felt like he was still keeping himself, you know, ahead of his peers and shit like that. But with certain tracks, it could have been execution better, in my opinion. Um, However, when it came to certain albums and shit like that, give me one second. Okay, I can't find the Eddie Taman album. Actually, hold up. Give me one second. Making all that fucking noise with this shit, but okay. Yeah. When it came to this album, like, he definitely got everything right when it came to, like, you know, concepts and shit, which I'm definitely going to talk about edutainment very soon, so stay tuned on that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take my time on this one, so yeah. And sorry about all this fucking noise and shit, you know, but yeah, man, like, I just felt like with the ghetto music, the blueprint of hip hop was, it's an acquired taste for like a lot of Boogie Down production has and shit, you know. It's not a bad album. It's just, it could have been a little bit better. And so, with that being said, this album has been reissued on vinyl and stuff like that. You know, it's still relatively in print. I think it's still in print. It might be a bit hard to come by compared to the other Boogie Down production albums, but you can still find it for a good price. And with that being said, this is your boy Reg here. Stay tuned for more. Also, just to let everybody know, this tonight about I want to say 9:30, 9:45. Definitely want to talk about, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so stay tuned on that. Also, this fucking Tuesday at 8 o'clock, finally going to talk about Aaliyah's One in a Million, and I got a lot of dope reviews coming up soon. So yeah, it's gonna be some good shit coming. So as usual, this is your boy Reg here. Peace.